the injuries that have been piling up as well. That's now 3 straight Premier League defeats, Janusz. What do you think of it? Is this a drop-off?
Well, it is, but remember, on one of the very first few shows, I talked about what happens if James Madison is out. Now look at the amount of type of players that are out in this one. So it's no coincidence. That's just reality. Reality bites, and it's also not a coincidence. It happened in that Chelsea game that had so much controversy and a lot of injuries for them. Couple of red cards, if I remember. So this is a consequence of that in a way. That certain things. It's difficult to fill in, even though Ange, I think, has done a tremendous job. And in that game, could have won it, should have won it very, very easily. So I think that he's got a lot of credit in the bank already, Ange Postecoglou, and I think the fans are enjoying it. I think that obviously it's a drop-off, but let's be honest. Nobody expected a start like that. I mean, if they lost a couple games early on, nobody would have said anything. We'd be here talking about Ange Postecoglou without Harry Kane changing the team. He needs a little bit of time. It's process, right? But because he started unexpectedly well, now all of a sudden we think he's going to be winning every game. And I think, when I look at this team and the decisions he made ahead, playing such an attacking lineup without so many players, sticking to his guns and his philosophy, I think it's wonderful. He's bought into the defense mentality because they'd much rather come to the stadium and even maybe a loser game like this, but playing like that. Remember, I mean, they had Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, who, both managers bored the entire stadium to death. The results weren't there anyway, even though those two are serial winners. So at least you can say to yourself, wow, look at the way we're playing when we're missing more than half the team or starting lineup. That's
what it felt like, didn't it, Janusz, with him afterwards as well? He just didn't seem too down at all about what he'd seen from his side in this loss. Like, obviously, going back to the Chelsea loss, as we discussed right here, couldn't really take too much away from that, given the sendings off. The Wolves one, maybe you could pick apart a bit more. But in this one, the feeling was from Ange Postecoglou that he wasn't upset with what he'd seen from his sides.
Well, absolutely, because some of the all those disallowed goals, a couple of them, the buildup was absolutely tremendous. And so obviously, whatever he's doing on the training pitch, it doesn't really matter who's in the starting lineup. Players are buying into that philosophy. They understand it so quickly, because we'll talk about Pochettino or Chelsea. Look how quickly they bought into it. I mean, we sometimes sit here and we think that playing like this just comes now. You can just say a couple of sessions, you're going to do it. How many examples we have? How long it's taken Mikel Arteta or even Pep Guardiola to agree to accomplish that? And he's accomplished a way of playing that everybody understands. That's beautiful to watch. That's why we turn into for entertainment. And so I can understand how even Spurs fans can kind of overlook it, because there's always that hope thinking when we come back, when we get the players, we can return to that. And yes, Spurs haven't won in ages, so waiting maybe another season to win something significant or make it to the top 4 in the way that they play, if they continue to play, this is real hope that came up. Look how quickly. It's quite incredible, to be honest with you, what I saw in that last game.
Let's get the facts then, Dallin, on how much their stocks dropped when we look at ESPN Bet.
Well, it hasn't really gone down as far as I thought, to be very honest with you. They're plus 200 to make it into the top 4, and that's right behind Newcastle, plus 160. But the next team behind them is Manchester United at plus 450, and United's only 2 points behind. What I find really interesting, and I had a little technical thing there, I missed part of what Janusz said there. I know he started with if they lose Madison. And of course, with him being out, that team is different. That Chelsea game, I think when we look back months from now, and when you talk to Spurs fans, because there's just boiling with negativity all the time and pessimism. I feel like I talked to like 5 Spurs fans after that match. And they're like, we're going to look back at the Chelsea game and that's going to define our season. It very well may be, because not the loss, all the bodies that kind of fell within the course of that physical match. And if Madison, his absence, Van der Ben's absence is a problem. But what I find interesting is the books have not responded the way I would have thought. And what that says to me, and a little bit to Janusz's point there at the end, they have a true style of playing. And I think that when you do that, you have an understanding of what this team can be anticipated doing long-term with or without their key guys. Will they win enough games to get in the top 4? Maybe. It's obviously a bet, but one that the books think is more likely than a United team that, while they're getting results in the league, still in terms of their desire and how they want to play and having like an ethos and this is what we're going to be, I still don't really know what that is. And even Erik ten Hag a couple of weeks ago saying like, we can't play the way I want to play because we don't have the guys that I would like, essentially paraphrase his comments. That's interesting to me. And I think the line is very interesting too. That's a huge delta, plus 450, 4.5 times your money to 2-1 on your money for a club that United is a bigger brand name worldwide, which draws in more money. And Spurs, a team that many people assume will find a way to fail. Being Spursy is a term for a reason. But that is interesting to me. And I think that's part of that's Ange Postecoglou, part of that's the belief his guys have shown and how they're going to play. So maybe there's a predictive way of saying we have a better feel, at least the sports books, of how this team will perform versus United team that seems like the delta between the up and down is very, is huge.